of things I am, pretty ain't one.
I don't know. I think you're a good-looking guy.
I could be called handsome, but there's not a lot about me that's pretty. You could not turn me into a pretty thing, I don't think, no matter how hard you tried.
True. All right, come on live. I said everything was going good, and now this thing doesn't want to connect.
This episode is cursed, I say. Cursed.
Yeah, like Zeus does not want to see it happen.
See, he's scared.
Agreed. He's frightened of us.
Yep.
Why are you not picking up? Get all your stuff. You should be picking up.
Hades is Zeus's brother, right?
Yes, Hades, Poseidon, and Zeus are all brothers from mythology.
All right, it's live. YouTube's telling me that it's live, so.
Great. Just being stupid on the pickup thing, or on my part, maybe. Yep, all right, I see it on that part. All right, so.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, welcome. We're finally in operations after last hiccup. Okay, I am Benito, your humble DM. As you can see, there are only 2 players at this table, because this is the Mercy of the Gods Streams of Spero. And just in case you forget, we'll introduce themselves. Glenn.
Hi, I'm Glenn. I play Zindred and she is the granddaughter of the first house of the Drow and first paladin of the Raven Queen. On hopefully not her last mission, to plead her case with Zeus.
Yep.
We've been hoping.
And I'm playing Lord Andriousis, formerly of the Dread Isle of Alanis, now having transported into Spero. He is the predominant archer of the land, fabulously dressed, very handsome, haughty high elf who had died and has now come back from the dead and will be trying to figure out what that means if he doesn't die a second time.
Andriousis is a zombie?
Hey, you're the one that brought it back. That's
Could be true there. It is a statement they've said. Like they say that about others.
That make you a necromancer, Zindred? Is that?
I didn't bring you back. I didn't even ask for you to be brought back.
Oh, that's
The
true.
Raven Queen just decided to.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yes.
got an extra. I got Rydell. I was asking for Zhu's hand, but she misunderstood and gave me Rydell back from the dead. But
Yeah, you got a
had
couple
nothing to do
lucky bonuses. All right, as we get a recap of Mercy of the Gods, Zindred and Andriousis have now met with the hierarchy, more or less the government of St. Augustine. They found that they were made by ruling houses. They were staying with, what was it you guys were at?
We were staying with Jolesso Wildstorm and her wife Marissa.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And their daughter.
Jolesso.
Yeah. Okay, and you basically were pretty much learning the city, picking up as events were going down, kind of learning a lot of things going on. You got a number of tours to the place as well to pick up, it was a new environment, and Zindred kind of felt rewarded or ease or appeased that the fact that there can be a society that can be ruled as almost like foreseeing maybe where the Drow society can be after all this events that basically happen. And all things were going well. You two were bonding. Things were going pretty well as you guys were getting closer. And then in the morning, there was a bit of a commotion going on as you guys were brought to the temple of Apollo. And upon going there, you learn that the high priest has lost his gift to, or no longer divinely attached to Apollo, meaning that he thinks something has definitely happened to his god. That was something you had heard that had happened to the high priest of Hermes. So we are, in a way, trying to find out maybe some of the events that are going on here and move on from there. I take it. So that is where we're at with that. So Commander Lightshield will pretty much, as you guys get the news, will look to you. Do you guys wish to, more or less, are you guys just ready? I guess I imagine she's like, you guys must be at wit's end and ready to talk to the High Priest of Zeus and see what they can do for you right away. I believe.
I think the longer we wait, the more possibility of things continuing to go wrong. I hope that what we fear may have happened to Apollo is not the truth, but I think we have to be prepared in case it is.
And Zindred, over High Priest Renee's shoulder, because she had embraced him when she saw his face and heard the news, agrees, saying that absolutely, with as much haste as possible, lest any more fall.
Okay. So, then you guys will get past these places. We'll just move it right down to the one we need. So, you will be coming down. And we'll get you through, and then she's going to, because it's going to take a bit to get there, as you guys know, because it's a very deep level. You will stop at this place right here, which is called the Serious Whistle, which will be an inn, so you guys can get lunch, and then, because you got to eat. And then they'll continue over to the Temple of Zeus, which is number 7. Oh, this is the wrong map. Right? Yeah, so, whoops.
Yeah, I was just saying, I think that's the first level. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Oh, so this is why we move these ones away. Go small. I'll put you up there. Put you up there. Hide back there for a little bit. Okay, so you're going to be there.
Nice.
And this big, this is like one of the largest temples you've ever seen. You can see it in the distance going in there. You can see larger than houses and everything. This thing is like cathedral from the distance. But at the moment, you'll stop and get some lunch.
Yeah. So over lunch, who's with us at lunch? Obviously, Rydell. Who else?
Indeed.
The commander will be with you, and the high priest will be
the high priest of Apollo.
Yeah, because he will probably need to help assure that something bad is happening. So instead of him just like your word of mouth, so he will accompany you as well, just so you can more or less push your way into seeing the high priest with a little bit more merit, because again, you're not really sure exactly how things are going to kind of play themselves out.
Yeah.
As we travel before we get to lunch, Zindred does briefly touch the hilt of her sword to send a thought to her mother, though she knows she may not answer, asking whether or not Apollo has fallen.
Is it ascending, or is that was your sending or prayer? I got to make sure I'm.
It's ascending.
It is
ascending.
Your mother, your grandmother would definitely say, yes, Zindred. Word out is he has fallen, but we are pressed against preparing against the other houses at this time. Your vassal has arrived and is preparing those around us.
Thank you, grandmother. And now I'll restate my original thing because I said it unclearly. Zindred sends a sending to the Raven Queen, directly asking her if Apollo has fallen.
Oh, the Raven Queen.
Who she calls mother.
Oh, okay.
That's the confusion.
Yeah. The Raven does the Raven command. Give me a wisdom check.
Just straight wisdom?
Yep. Well, your bonus as well. So yeah, whatever your bonus is of that.
18.
Nice. The Raven Queen goes, my champion, Apollo has fallen, It is not by the hands of the new gods, although the gods that befell him are known to us. And she leaves it there.
Zindred reads between those lines quite well, actually.
You did do studying before. Well done, that. As you're sitting there, there is Andriousis. There is a old man with a mug, gray. Kind of, he looks a little haggard and he's definitely human, so kind of odd, or half elf. He looks maybe half elven. He's kind of like playing with his mug, but he seems to like constantly like checking you out, scoping you.
Like checking out, as in how?
Insight.
Is it amorous?
Right.
Is he a dirty old man? Where is this campaign going already?
It's a modified 20.
Okay. You have a feeling like he's not wanting to draw attention of others, but definitely wants to draw your attention to, would be like, hey, could I have a word with you type of thing, it seems.
Okay, well, while we're at dinner, okay. Do I recognize him at all? Like, does it
Absolutely
does he
not.
look familiar, or do I see like any like family lines? Do I see anything that is familiar about him at all?
No.
Okay.
You don't even need to check.
Okay, fair enough. Yep. While we're at lunch and when there's a lull in the conversation, I'll look at Zindred and just say, if you excuse me for a second, I'm not sure why, but I think someone wants my attention.
With her passive 23, I was betting Zindred had noticed him as well, and she says, I see him trying to get it.
The least I can do is go see what he wants.
Certainly.
So I will. Does it look like he wants to? Like he just want the? Is he trying to like be secretive about it? Like, am I trying to get?
Yeah, like I said, he only wanted your attention, and
Okay.
Zindred, you'd only pick that up. Like you get the guy now that he's saying, I think someone wants my attention. Your passive with your reading the room would single him. But I will also give you an insight check right now as well.
Okay. Nine.
Oof, yeah.
Rolled a 2.
It's kind of odd that you just feel it's odd that he got Andriousis' attention and you didn't pick up on it first. Like this after pickup is not what you would be accustomed to as an event that should happen in that order.
Right. Well, Andriousis' passive does match mine, and we've noted it before, that we both are very attentive. So she wouldn't be necessarily surprised that he did notice, but maybe a little that she didn't.
So I will give it this point for now the two of you as you sit there and look at each other in the clarity of that. It went past your passive. Like this was an active thing that had to be drawn into your attention.
Cool. Yeah, I was kind of betting that was the case.
Okay.
Well, she kind of calls after Andriousis. We don't have time for dalliances. Keep that in mind.
I won't be long. I will stand up and I will walk past this guy out to. Is there like a deck or is there like any like outside seat, someplace that is maybe still within eyesight and not earshot necessarily, but eyesight, but is more private than like the middle of the floor of the tower. Like
I would say there's an outside little fencing area. There are elves. They would probably want to definitely dally with that. Okay. It takes you go out there. He patiently waits about 3 minutes, and then Zindred, you clock him moving in the same direction.
I will also as surreptitiously as possible. There's a dagger on my belt that's normally has like a leather strap around, just kind of keeping it secure. I'm loosening the leather strap in case I need to get at it.
Will do. Zindred, give me a actual active perception check on him though, just because I know you would just want to size him up.
Oh, absolutely, she would. Dirty 20.
Okay. Either this old guy is so civilian, or he is, I don't know, I would just say really monkish in some aspect like that. You don't see any weapons. You don't really see any excessive, like, travel gear. So there's no, like, a scroll belt, or book, or backpack, or coin purse, really, or weapons, or scabbards, or, like, you can pretty much would see anything like that. He just seems to be in simple, loose tunic sort of attire with a cloak. So unless he's got some magical means that he's deceiving you, that is just something you find as odd.
Okay. And how does he move? I mean, he's not carrying weapons. He looks like he's basically just wearing
He
clothes
moves like his age. He doesn't look very threatening. He looks very old. He doesn't, like, he's got a bit of a hitch to his knee. But it's just like, again, the attire and the attire and the passive perception thing is just putting the hairs on the back of your neck up.
Gotcha. All right. Well, Zindred will keep a specific eye on them.
Will do. All right. Your table will continue to drink. They don't really pick much left. They're kind of a little solemn and worried. Apparently more events of where you're heading. Andriousis, this guy...
Zindred just tries to make consoling conversation with High Priest Z.
Okay. So Andriousis, this guy comes out, and he'll kind of rest his arms against the fence with his ale in hand.
How may I help you, my lord?
Calling me my lord already.
Just being friendly.
I like friendly. But it's more what I can do for you, or me helping you, that you would be more helping me.
I see. Well, you took great pains to draw my attention. I will presume to know. I will presume that you know my time is brief. So, what are you offering? How may I? What's up? As the youth would say.
It is more of the insight that I could give you to your shortened time, should you go on that path further.
I'm listening.
I'm here as a messenger. Others that have already asked seem to think that maybe you are in a holy martyr of yourselves. I come with much more complex and creative ways of envisioning events to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You should turn from your
those
path.
would be...
You need to turn from your path.
Who are you a messenger of?
Of yours. One can say
Can you
birds
be
of a
messenger
feather
of mine?
flock together. You will now notice that he doesn't have much of that hitch anymore. He's definitely very affluent vitality. Your passive is that high.
Alright. Yeah. And I... Alright, I am going to use Divine Sense. I want to... Basically allows me to go ahead and detect good and evil, but specifically, I can sense anything affected by a Hallow spell or know the location of a celestial fiend or undead within 60 feet. I'm trying to get a sense for who it is that I'm talking to and what it is that I'm talking to.
You feel a pretty strong celestial sense.
So Andriousis will chuckle under his breath. It's birds of a feather, huh?
I don't think it's that hard. You are Titans after all.
I am with the Titans. I am not. I did not accept the mantle.
He said, she said, what power you actually have, what power you don't. You, after all, are Walking Dead, so in everyone else's story, you might as well have the label.
It seems that you know much, then. So, if we should turn from the path that we're on, what path should we be taking instead?
The path that will preserve you and your people?
I'm assuming that the message that you bring has some proposal.
They only think that you putting yourself in front of one of the most arrogant pricks of these gods is sort of silly. Whatever path you really choose, I really don't give a shit.
You're just a messenger. Why would I assume that you would care?
Right.
Clearly it's whoever is sending you that cares, right?
Yes.
But if we're really birds of a feather, why me and not my traveling companion? Surely that message would have been better received by her?
How many of the faithful do you recall are easily swayed from their path?
It depends on the faith, now doesn't it?
And the individual. The higher on the totem pole, we should say, the harder is to wobble them off that stick, isn't it?
I'm not sure how much sway I would have to wobble her off of the stick that she's on.
Well, I couldn't approach you earlier,
especially-
Andriousis.
Especially with a vague mention of some vague messenger who won't say who they're from, with some vague promise that we should do something else, but won't say what. We're open to ideas.
Well, here's the thing. I don't mind if you guys go. I could take advantage of that as well. It's just who sent me, asked me to, pass on the message one more time, just so she could save her favorite toy.
So which of the illustrious ladies sent you? Just so we can make sure to be clear.
Andriousis, why do you play like you need everything spelled out for you? I know you're brighter than that.
Because I have lived a very, very long time, and I have seen how making assumptions about who one is talking to can go so very, very wrong. And whether you are a messenger, whether we are truly birds of a feather, as you say, or whether or not we are adorning ourselves in the fine silks of our past, that difference is huge.
I see why you got along with the Greystokes so much. You've already
You will
picked up.
actually laugh at that.
You've already picked up a lot of their habits on this one. I mean,
some more than others.
Some more than others, my friend. Well, you know that this is all about the two ladies that have started to break open the seal. The war is going to happen. You must realize, or must everything be spelled out for you, that Zeus is going to fight. He likes to fight.
Sure. Which is why we're hoping to find out what it is that he wants, more than fighting.
Making babies?
Has he already made one with you?
Not for me. I wouldn't have him. I'm of a different
Not,
pantheon.
not you. Sorry, your lowly messenger. I mean your mistress.
Oh no, I mean they're out to get him. That's the whole point of the war.
Got it. So let me understand then. And now he will start to get that sort of like haughtiness that Andriousis is so well known for, that sarcasm, that so let me get this straight. Your hire, for example, for lack of a better term, your whoever has sent you is so worried about us going to Zeus, because after all they want to go ahead and take him out, that we should be worried about whether or not we have any chance of success. That's so clearly whoever sent you is just looking out for us, right? That's the story.
Well, if we're gonna have fun with this more, it's more like they're looking out after your friend Zindred. You, on the other hand, are pretty expendable.
See, now I know who sent you. At least my assumptions were correct from the very beginning.
And this is why we're easier to get along with. And this conversation was directly directed at you because you're expendable in every essence to everybody else, but to Zindred.
Well, glad to see that while we may be birds of a feather, that the leopard never changes their spots, now do they?
I actually changed mine quite a bit. That's why I'm a good messenger.
Really? Well,
I didn't have to give you all this information. Like I said, it's more fun that way.
I mean, the information that you've given us is that the plan isn't going to work and that we should do something else.
Well, the plan could work. It just means that you won't be here to see the aftermath of it.
I wasn't planning on being here to see the before math. I'm not sure I expected to see the aftermath either. Who knows? Stranger things have happened.
Yes, the advantages of being brought back from the dead. Immortality is a cool thing, isn't it?
I don't think I'm immortal. I think I'm situationally awake. Danu, in his guidance, has somehow seen that I had further purpose to fulfill.
Interesting philosophy with people who are dead men walking, huh?
I think then, well, I probably don't need to spell out the reply to your mistress.
So, still going with it?
Who knows? I think that we are going to continue to ascertain information and that we will make decisions on what we think is the best for the realm as information is provided to us.
Understandable.
You know, but I will say, and I mean this with no exaggeration whatsoever, that the last bit of information that we would take to influence our decision would come from those dread lips that whisper honey into your ear. So you can certainly tell her that I say precisely how tightly she can roll up this message and where she can put it.
One would think that. This is why I volunteered for the message, just because I like chance. Well, just in case, he kind of does this, and the robes kind of fall away. There is a arrowhead and a start in each of the hands. Should you come to conflicts, these may help with your survivability should he get mad.
What an arrowhead and a what now?
A dart.
A dart.
gifts to the Titans on our side.
Andriousis will... Oh man, this is such a bad idea. Andriousis, looking at the items in his hand, what do they seem to be made of? Are they made of any sort of like recognizable material, or like?
Andriousis would recognize adamantite when he saw it.
Yeah. Okay. So that's not going to work anyway. Okay. I will take these back to Zindred and see if she would like to use them.
Of course.
And he will take a handkerchief out of his pocket and lift them out of the hand of the messenger with the handkerchief, which, albeit, is probably way more symbolic than not. But
he smiles.
For Andriousis, it's a big deal that he does not actually touch them.
Okay.
And he does not, and he kind of wraps them in the silk handkerchief, and like knots it and holds it above the knot, so they're kind of like hanging down like a sack below.
Okay. And as you do all that, he turns to go back in the door, and he goes, "Oh yeah. Just because I want to have a little fun in the investment of all this, you should take this too." And with that, just this platinum coin appears out of his hand.
He'll undo the knot on the little like satchel and hold it open and put it underneath.
As he drops it in. You look at the facing of the head as he seems to walk in. And let me pull what I should see. I'll make sure I say this right.
Which king of Alanis is it? Like a Zarian in there.
Do I have it? What it looks like? Did I do something? It is the head of a jackal.
A jackal. Okay.
And he goes through the door, and it closes behind him.
Okay. Yeah, holding the little satchel again above the knot, by the ends of the fabric that are above where these items are. He will. He's not like making a big deal about the fact that he's kind of like carrying it down by his side because he doesn't want them to fall into. He doesn't want them to fall in Golem's hands by falling into the river either.
Okay. All right, cool.
But like,
yeah, you have it.
But we'll walk back to the table, just kind of like put the satchel on the table, and look at Zindred and say, "Silk sends her regards."
She raises one eyebrow at you.
That individual was not of this plane. He's a messenger from the Dark Lady, basically saying that we shouldn't continue on our line, that it is a fool's mission. We're at the table, actually, we're at the table with the commander and Zirene and Rydell, right?
Yeah.
He'll start talking, and then he'll stop himself, and then he'll look at Zindred and say,
"I've told them nothing but the truth so far."
All right, then. More truth then for the win. She thinks that we will most likely meet our destruction if we continue along this path. That there is no alternative, or that the alternative would basically be not to, and just stay in service to her, or find some other way to go ahead and try to affect what's going on. But that basically talking to Zeus is the wrong idea. Didn't have much insight into what she thinks the right idea would be. And then he'll if you know any Elven at all, or if Zirene or obviously the commander would know. And Rydell, is Rydell Elven, or is he Drow?
He's Drow.
He's Drow.
Okay. May pick up when he kind of gestures at the silk package on the table. He will do so with a rude gesture, with a rude hand gesture, like almost flipping it off, equivalent kind of thing. She has offered some tools, which apparently, if we do continue down this path, and it comes to conflict, that could be of assistance. A arrowhead that is at least made of adamantium, I'm assuming is magical, and a dart, and a platinum coin with a jackal's head on it. That do I recognize the symbology on the coin at all, Ben? Or
Are you proficient in religion?
Proficient in history, but not in religion.
It's gotta be religion. If not, then you have to roll.
I can roll. That is an 8. So
You've been a long time, and to be honest, gods have changed a bit since Andriousis was fully roaming as well.
Yeah.
Especially human gods. Well, the humans mostly worship.
Yeah. So he'll say they also give me a platinum coin with a jackal's head on it. I know that it is from my home plane, but the sands of time have stripped the memory from me. I don't know what it is. I'm not particularly comfortable using these items, but that choice is up to you if you would like.
I did not take one of the stones because my mother warned that gifts from silk could cut me off from her, and I will take nothing from her. This concerns me, though. If silk is trying to stop us without speaking to the Raven Queen.
Zindred, you do have proficiency in religion, right?
I do.
You do need to roll because you're not of Alanis, but it could have somehow been taught to you somewhere or
another. 25.
Wow.
Damn.
So, you did get the download of the Alanis timeline, correct?
Mm-hmm.
In your head?
I did.
You really have to think back hard. You don't remember any heroes or even, so to say, let's say villains, praising this individual, but somehow in the recesses of your mind, you do kind of know. You did a little research. Remember when you found about Ares and Aphrodite?
Mm-hmm.
As you kind of think, you just happen because you're such a noble woman, and you understand heraldry and how important all that is. You just happen to pick up the fact that the jackal is a reflection or known to be attached to Loki in the Alanis face.
Okay. And not being that knowledgeable, because she's digging, she says it out loud. She says, wait, jackal? Does Loki mean anything to you?
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah,
they weren't like, yeah.
You now can roll your history because you're proficient in history.
Yep. That is a 25.
Awesome. So, the difference with what people now will say Norse mythology, so if they're trying to counteract, this is Alanis Norse. So, Loki in Alanis is the god of trickery and thievery and very low-key stuff. He actually isn't associated with a lot of evil. A lot of them just look at him as the nuisance god in Alanis. He was one of the most minor, if you look at sort of villainy and aspect. It was just that's the way he always was.
Like almost inappropriate for a platinum coin.
Well, you know he's like he's got wealth. He is still the brother of Tyr.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
he has connection, but he doesn't have a connection to Silk. Like that isn't his. That was never his portfolio. It's not like Silk has much darker ties to other gods of much more villainy and hatred.
Sure.
But again, now that you think about it, the Church of Silk was relatively new in your remembrance, so you don't know exactly how much that affected her.
Sure. So who would have had connections to Loki?
That's the thing. He was pretty off on his own. Like I said, there were a couple of the gods that were no longer spoken of, like Tempest and Thor, and Tyr. So a lot of those old Norse gods. But as you remember now, you're like, fuck, I don't even know if Tyr is still active amongst that line. So he's really been split off. So somehow, but again, this Pantheon is moving in, and I'm going to give you guys a chance to understand. Like, you would probably think that he would be quick to jump on board this, because if the Pantheons are crashing, he could be one of those gods that gets lost.
Yeah.
Like, he has no faith, he has no following. So if this would come in and he's not doing good, but then again, you don't know if he is doing good, because you were a highborn elf. So the thief guilds, where all his shrines were, stuff like that, that's not something you know where any of the cities. But rumor would be, if you worship thieves and you want to get away with stuff and stealing and staying away from you noble people, that's probably what was up. So
all right, I'll relay that information in Andriousis' sort of way, talking about how Loki was very much a minor god, trickery, thievery, that kind of thing, and that it's Andriousis could see how Loki, being opportunistic, could try to catch a wave to increase his sphere of influence in this way.
Zindred says.
Yeah.
High Priest Z will go, he may have divinely enchanted these weapons then that he presented to you. They must give you some of his favored connection if he's seeking power, especially since we've seen these vacuums now happen.
Who was that? Was
the High Priest Z of Apollo.
Is he your name?
Yeah.
High Priest. I don't have time to go into the entirety of the story, but understand that if knowing where these gifts have come from, it is not a good idea to use them. The message itself is worth considering, Zindred, that when we speak with the High Priest of Zeus, perhaps there may be room to go ahead and consider other options, or there may be other paths. That message, worthwhile. I, and who I am, and all that I have stood for in the millennia that I have been awake and present, could never in good conscience use items from this source. I will not speak for everybody. Commander, if you feel that an advantage is worthwhile, I with no fault and no malice, invite you to equip yourself as you see fit. I could not.
Andriousis goes, I understand in your concerns, Andriousis. My other concern is, if he is a god, that was what just met you, of the people that you left, or the world that you left. He was just walking within our city, and in our lowest level. No wonder, like, the threat of this war is pretty high for all our gods.
Indeed. And Zindred will untie the knapsack, using her silverware push the other two items aside, and pick up the platinum coin. I would agree. I think that was Loki that you spoke with, and this is actually his marker.
Yep.
You will
I
instantly,
want nothing of Silk's, but I will take this.
Zindred, you will instantly know that this is a luck coin. You basically get once per day you get a free reroll.
Okay. Cool.
You're welcome.
But as to...
And you just know it. You didn't even have to identify. Like, you can tell that Loki wanted you to know that. There was no obscurity to it. You know this is what it is. Or the Raven Queen, like, you know divinely that this is of the pantheon of your gods.
And Z-Rene has probably lost all of his magic, right?
Yes. So you can identify that. Is Glenn frozen? Oh, no. Yeah.
Nope.
What's that?
Okay.
Just holding still.
Very still. I was like, whoa, you're very still.
Zindred continues holding the coin, intrigued that another deity from that pantheon would throw their marker on top of it at the end like that. But she does, kind of talking to herself and Andriousis at the same time. But you have said from the beginning that she couldn't be trusted. But to try to sway me from my course, talking sideways through
She even
intermediaries
referred
and
to
my
us
friends.
as birds of a feather.
If she is truly partnered with the Raven Queen, my mother, and she feels that my course needs to be altered, that is the path she needs to take if she wants to reach me.
That is what I said.
I will not turn from my path just at the hiss of some serpent in the grass. Though this does concern me for whether or not the message that I bring would be held true by her.
Right.
That should Zeus agree, they will maintain a peace.
Yeah, they are going after Zeus also. They will as the message was delivered, the gist of it was that we will not be able to persuade him not to go to war.
High Priest Egos, excuse me, Andriousis, you seem to have the knowledge of your pantheon of the old with this silk. She is the one we fear the most, correct?
Okay. Yes.
Can
is the
you...
easy answer to your question.
Okay.
But there is a myriad level of detail within that yes that you have to understand.
I do understand, and I'm just taking it as a token of the aspect of at least be wary and fearful of her designs.
Yeah. She is not to be trusted.
I think when I was talking a little bit with the commander, she mentioned that you guys might have known of two gods of our old gods that are in this pantheon. Yeah. Were they in her allegiance in this pantheon before? When you remember the followers of these are gods, when they were their followers, did they always align themselves in times?
Silk's pantheon, or Silk's ascendancy to godhood was new in my world. It was very, very recent. Her ascendancy to that level of power had been a slow burn over a very, very long time. She would routinely pop in and pop out of the collective consciousness of my world, so that when she was foiled, she would disappear, and then people would forget, and she would raise power, and then she'd get foiled, so she would disappear. This had been a long game of hers for a very, very long time until she finally succeeded. I'm not totally sure whether, because it was, and Ben, forgive me, it was Aphrodite and Ares that were in the Alanis pantheon.
The only two old gods that are similar now in both pantheons.
So, whether Aphrodite and Ares from my world were aligned with Silk or not, I honestly can't say. But do we have any? And this is where I'm kind of crossing the streams too. Do we, Zindred and I, have any information that they are currently aligned?
I gave a cryptic message to Zindred, so if he says under his understanding,
yes, we do.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's basically what it says. Like, I have no evidence. I don't know if they were aligned in Alanis or not, to be honest, because by the time Silk ascended to godhood, my attentions were and my focus was elsewhere. And then I'll ask, is like, do we have any evidence that they are absolutely aligned now? And I'm assuming that Zindred would say yes.
Evidence is a strong word when we're speaking of gods, but we have it on good authority that they may serve potentially two masters. I don't know exactly which way they'll go, but I believe they may have already made their choice. She's not sure she wants to say what she heard from the Raven Queen to the priest of Apollo who just lost his god. Like, that's the first time she's kind of holding back a little bit.
Okay. Before I go to the next line, I want to also take something back. Thor still does exist in the Pantheon. So Thor, Tyr, and Loki are the Norse aspects of that. He will go, High Priest Shiv will go, Z. Just to try to understand, and again, Andriousis, I'm trying to use you as much as a library, as much as I know you're limited, but you do have a vast touching to this. If we don't know if those two were there beliefs in this so we can kind of understand the embodiment of evil that is coming? Because it seems like we're definitely opposed to her, but this Raven Queen has been by her side. How long has she been doing such things with Silk?
I'm not one that can speak to the Raven Queen.
Why not?
And Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Raven Queen was not a goddess in Alanis, correct?
That is correct.
Yeah. The Raven Queen was not in the Pantheon, was not a god that I knew.
Really? So, but you are her champion, correct? And he points to Zindred.
I am. As much as I understand, it is that the Raven Queen also was being trapped by Hades. Where she and Silk met, I have no idea. To be honest, until I met Andriousis, I had no idea what world Silk truly came from. Well, that's not entirely accurate. I did receive a massive amount of information at one point that was very confusing and still sends my head spinning a tad, but...
Okay, I'm going to do this now. I will give anyone an insight check, and at advantage. You can decide it is either Zindred, or is it Andriousis, or it is High Priest Z.
Ooh. It should not be Andriousis if it's insight.
Okay.
Zindred's not bad with insight. I'm rocking a +7, but it's not amazing.
That's pretty amazing.
Well, you know, you got to consider 6 of that as just my proficiency bonus.
Yeah, you're way up there considering these high priests, but I am a little bit of the DM too, and there's a little bit of serious NPC perspective that I can throw with this. But if you roll high enough, which you're likely to do, it could bring some. We could have a different point of view to this.
Oh, well, we'll let Renee do it, and we'll get your point of view.
Okay.
I mean, with advantage, I'm sure he won't let us down.
You know what, though?
Like you want to expound.
To be fun, though, each of you roll me a straight D20 then. I will add the modifier to it. But you guys will have a chance to have the effect on this roll personally as well, though. So you're rolling for High Priest.
14.
Straight 14.
6.
6. We're going with a 14. Okay. That'll be a little bit... That'll be about a 19. High Priest goes... Hear me in my... I guess my philosophy of this. Having heard many tales of gods and the Titans. Now, we have, for the first time, 2 pantheons that are coming together. But there could be of gods that have, we know our gods have been made. Zeus had to defeat Kronos to be into his power. So if the other pantheon had similarities of growth and coming, we now must think that the Raven Queen must have an agenda. An agenda that must have to use this silk that brings the other gods into this world. What is it? Are they vying for followers? Are we in simple calling of the follow of resources to those that believe in faiths, that these two other beings are moving such other gods into conflict with those that are already established?
My understanding of the situation isn't that this was the plans or machinations of Silk or the Raven Queen, that it was the machinations of Hades. That is what me and my companions fought to stop, was all of these gods coming in under Hades' control.
Yes. But that was before they were fully here, correct?
Of course, the convergence at that point couldn't be stopped. What they plan to do now, as far as I know, from the Raven Queen, from my mother's perspective, is survive.
You are proficient, you said, in religion, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is your proficiency score?
My religion is plus 12.
12. I'm going to give you a roll. Andriousis is definitely helping because he knows some things of life and living a long time. So roll that with plus 12. This could be a big insight thing.
Okay, so just roll a religion check then?
At advantage.
Not 20.
Not
For 32.
20? 32. Yeah, that's what I was sort of afraid you were going to roll, but okay. Here we go. This is why you're playing Titans. All right. The one key element of godhood is followers. So now that you say that, they were brought into this world, broken from Hades. They had their own established pantheon in another world with their own followers there. To be brought into this world, if Silk and the Raven Queen were to leave another world and they're staying here, in theory, they would be only as strong as the number of followers that are here. Which you can now think is a super understanding and reasoning why your entire family, all the high priestesses, the most powerful of the drow in their standing and their status, converted. But they kind of opened up, so it looked like reasoning why there's more. They have a little bit more of the pantheon established instead of it being just to Silk or just to the Raven Queen, which should have made in some other god's sense more sense. But they sort of broke it up, meaning that there are now gods, the gods of those your aunts exist. Like now they are definitely established because there's a high priest of those deities.
Mm-hmm.
But to survive and get stronger means that they would need more and more followers.
Understood. That's actually part of Zindred's argument. But
yeah. So the Raven Queen would since she didn't exist in the original pantheon, would be the weakest of all of them, coming from whatever realm she came into the enter the new realm. So in a lot of sense, now that you think of it, she would be the most aggressive because she's the least established of all of them, has the least amount of connection. So whatever her deal is with Silk has bonded the two of them almost in this symbiote relationship. But she's definitely, the Raven Queen in all essence would be feeding off of Silk's power base moving forward, as Andriousis would see more into that. Like, the less Silk exists, maybe the less the Raven Queen exists. Maybe that's part of her fear and why she's motivating and moving things. And maybe it's a cryptic message where Loki put stock into you, because if you die, that's a pretty big blow to her power base in Spero, so to speak there. So, especially if she's trying to expand.
Yeah, for Principal Paladin dies.
Yeah. And that is, and if you think about this, Andriousis, this is exactly how Lathandar went away. This is how Celeborn went away. A lot of those old Forgotten Realm gods lost their power, and other gods kind of found their way in, And then once the belief took hold in the power base, so now Ra is the sun god. You kind of remember, like, shit, there were 3 sun gods when I think about it. There were several gods of the dead, now that I think about it. You know, Aphrodite kind of held strong, and Ares kind of held strong, but there were a couple of the gods that you were like, oh, how the hell did they come about and stuff? And a lot of them just didn't even get replaced. They just fell off the wayside because the Pantheons weren't strong enough in Alanis to support. So Spero might have the same essence kind of going on. But having now Zindred now thinking, like, you traveled around a lot of Spero, knowing that there are temples built mostly for all the gods structuring going on. One other memory is now going to come into you from the play that was told to you by others, I think, but it was very brief, that King Azarian in the Garden of Gaia was destroying certain temples within there, and he had started building temples of the Pantheon that you guys are kind of representing. So even though he's a douchish vampire, he was now helping establish that Pantheon, a continuing existence. As everyone was kind of focusing on him as a person, they weren't focusing on the Pantheons that he was sprouting up around him, just making sure that the Pantheon, the other gods, have anchors. So to put that in a viewpoint.
So Silk is using the Raven Queen's ambition.
No, you think it's the other way. You think it's the other way around.
And that's they're kind of feeding each other, right?
Because Silk was captured. Hades did capture Silk because she, in essence, is a new. And to think about it, because as you said, she was a new goddess. She was a weak goddess, but she was a source of what her divinity turned into was magic, and mostly black magic. So Hades was able to get her, compared to if there was another god of magic somewhere, she would more likely be super strong that Hades would never be able to get her. But she definitely could, if you took a lesser goddess, controlled her, had the essence, you should be able to tip the scales against your supposedly equal counterparts, which in this old god is Hades, Poseidon, and Zeus. Zeus just being a little bit more. So that gave Hades the, I'm just about as good or above you now if I hold her. It wasn't until these other heroes broke her up into the stone and then started fizzling his powers based on it, and then just kind of like freed her into this world. But remember, then she made connection to Zindred's grandmother. She took the bait and believed it. Then you guys started doing things, and you remember in Green, like in New Greyheim now, and in Greenwood, there are temples to Silk now. So she has gotten stronger. And then Zindred has gone around and said, praise the Raven Queen, praise the Raven Queen. And if the Shadow Kai got in here because of that, then she's getting more power. But the other gods like Loki that you've just seen, maybe Krom, Cross, Thor, these gods have almost no belief at all. So these guys can't really help too much unless they get more of them pushing in, finding ways to get in there. But there are, like, Tiamat is in with the Raven Queen, and the Drow Circle stuff. So Tiamat would be a little bit more powerful, especially now that she's come out. There could be belief that she has power with dragons. If the dragons are believing in her, then Tiamat would be strong, because she's just made her way into the realm. So those, like what Zindred's family did, opened up those gods, and then you have like those that are trying to sneak in and get some power. So Loki moving around is a minor god compared to the like Athena and Dionysus and Artemis and all them moving about right now. Like they would, if they were came down from Mount Olympus, they'd probably smite the shit out of them. But if they can gain some power, or if you were to tip the scales of that, or it could be like this, it could be ammunition in your argument pocket right now. But this is like what you're understanding. But the Raven Queen might be the most ambitious of this new pantheon, because she doesn't exist in any one of these two pantheons.
Right. She's brand new.
Brand new.
Right. Well, and as far as Zindred's concerned, that is totally okay. We need converts and we need followers. She's down with that. But as all of this is settling in, her face is getting a little bit more stern. Her hand lowers to her sword hilt, and she grips it hard enough that her knuckles turn white, and sends out towards the Raven Queen that Silk's messenger has come at us sideways to tell us this is a fool's errand, and that the war is inevitable, even if I were to convince Zeus. Tell me, Mother, am I on a fool's errand?
Give me a wisdom check with advantage.
18.
Okay. You grab your knuckles like that, and then, Andriousis, you see Zindred's head snap back. Your eyes roll back in your head. Zindred, you're in an open field. The grass is about your knee. It's grayish. It's lush, but it's dead looking in dull color and tone. The sky is grayish, cloudy, so everything seems very gray. Then there's just to your right, where you've held the sword, a tree, like a stick branch thing, kind of sticks out from the thing, and a raven flies and lands on it. Then within moments, more ravens just seem to fly to that branch stick, until so many flutters of feathers and birds you see getting to it, which never seem to be able to hold where they land, form up enough to shape a beautiful, dark-haired raven woman with a flowing cloak of black feathers.
Cinder drops to her knees.
She goes, "My champion, I have always felt pride on the paths that you have taken. Those you have touched have been every bit of blessing that I could have hoped for. And it was not the Dark Lady who sent Loki. It was I. Zeus is an arrogant pig. He is someone that others cannot rule under. There is no balance in him. The gods that I have come to know have also seen that. It is unfortunate it will turn to blood, but for the necessity of the realm, he must fall. But I did not want to deter you away, because I have known that your words are as symbolic in the power that mortals take when they say words of a raven. You have been my voice many, many times over. You have swayed the most stalwart of men and women in this realm. If there was anyone that could sway a different point of a god, it is you. But do I have fear of him? Yes, my champion, I do.
I understand, and I understand your fear and your fear of him. Zindred bows her head. But if I did convince him, if he did listen to me, would you hold the peace, as you told me that you would?
I would hold my part of the peace as I promised. I have other things that I must attend to make all of this construction work. The gods are chaotic at this moment. There is no unity. I have been summoned forth, I believe, to bring that to happen, to bear. The Dark Lady is young, and she has been given a harsh label. But she is like clay, my champion. I believe she could be much different in this new world. But I fear the asses like Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades would be hard on us, all of us. I will hold the peace.
But it is not just about the gods, Mother. Zindred actually raises her voice a little bit towards her for the first time, cutting her off. As I was going to say to Zeus, had I ever gotten the opportunity, it is not just about the gods, it's about the people. My feet were set on this path when I watched you kill Hermes, when I imagined his light going out of the minds of all of his priests across this world. And I saw that again with the priest of Apollo sitting beside me at the table in the Elven City. And it made me realize my greatest fear in any war. No matter how much I believe you will be victorious, I'm a soldier. In any war there are casualties. And if your light were to go out, I don't think I could survive it. But again, it's not just about me either. It's about all the other people in the world. Every time you kill a god or they kill a god, the people are devastated. I want none of you to die. Not a one.
If it were
and
so...
I'll make you the same oath that I made Zeus, that I planned on making to Zeus. If you tell me to turn from this path, I will return to my people and I will fight for you. But I will raise my blade to no deity except in defense of your life.
My champion, you must understand there are two pantheons that are embattled or entrenched in this aspect of survival, but we are not all aligned as you are as an obsidian raven with your friends. If Anubis and Shiva have their way, those are the casualties that will do more. This power that I seek and Silk seeks is to control beings of our deities like them. They are our Hades. They are the ones that, if not held in check, will do all that you have feared. I said I will keep the peace. Silk seeks to keep her part in the peace as well. We have done well to flourish because of you and your friends. We were not worried about us. What we worry, though, is what they will do and how they will change, because some of your friends have already fallen to darker and more evil things. Beings that are outside of all our pantheons, as those that are known as the devils have made their claim into this world. And the less power that I am, the less I can help them and save those people that will be attacked and affected. Already, the town of Fair has suffered from their wrath.
If you wish me to turn from this path, then I will.
This path has many options. That is why I sent Loki, because he is a deceiver, but he has a way with fate. Creativity is an aspect of his strength, if his lying is his negative. There are many pros and cons to everything that we all represent, my champion. You already knew that with your friends. You knew someone like yourself in HK and the Andriousis were the highest pinnacle of your group. But you also tolerated the lowest, and sometimes they do bad things. What you have endured, I am also enduring. And I understand your cause, and it is why you are my champion. It is why I want you to do as much as you possibly can, how you think you can. Because I have given you my power to see that you do whatever you can. We are not your puppets, your master puppets. We are just your inspiration. That I will never walk away from with you. You will always have my blessing. I can only give you guidance. I cannot decide your fate.
It goes both ways, though. In this war, if your followers die, if Zeus's followers die, if Hades' followers die, you diminish too.
I do.
I know that's why you fear me going before Zeus.
Because you're
They
my
diminish
best.
too.
You are
There
my best.
there is no victory here, no matter what. It's only more death, more destruction. What good is bringing my people out of the darkness and suffering if it only means to throw the world into suffering?
The one thing I can say at this moment is, if I were to choose you to pit you against these old gods or a spider, I know I can crush a spider. And if you were to crush a spider, you give our people, your family, the first house, because of the power that is within you, a considerable chance of success. Everything that you want to do and say in your inspiration may be wasted on a pig-headed king of a god. But if your direction was swayed to matron mothers with daughters and sons of noble drow blood, fighting for their city, to live, to not be oppressed by Zeus's churches, or Hades, or Poseidon, or others that will still follow their cause, then you give us its biggest chance.
Why can't prophets and missionaries be your warriors? Why can't this battlefield be fought and measured by the size of the congregations and the depths of the devoted? Why must they die?
Because mortality is made up of diversity. If it was so easy, there would be one God. But there are many here in this realm. And because of that, we all have different aspirations of success, love, life, hate, fear, hunger, anger. Everything that you could possibly think of makes individuality chaotic. But if we were all in a line, we would all just be clones of bees serving the one queen. But that is not the way life is. And you've known that for a long time. The only thing you can do is what you've always devoted yourself. A glory to a path to be better. Great individuals strive to be symbols to others, even though they can't change everyone. If they can change some, they know that their presence on earth has made a difference. And that is what faith is about. Having others believe when they have never found it before. Building these churches is my strength, is my lifeblood. It is not the battlefield. I may lose on the battlefield, but if you believe in me long enough, we can all survive.
Very well. Everything I do, I've always done, well, since I first bathed in your gray light, has been for your glory. I will raise churches for you. I will spread the name of the Raven Queen. I will go home to the city of night and fight with my people.
And then you will become my greatest champion. You will be the Titan. You will always always in this realm be inspiration as you believe in your heart that you are. And then with that long eternal life will be the price that you pay. But you will know that you will always be doing something for your people and other people, so we all may be one.
Just know, please, Mother, and there are tears streaming down her cheeks as she looks her in the eye. I meant my oath. I will raise my blade to no deity except in defense of your life.
And she goes down to you. She's much closer to you. She takes her hand out. She just touches her middle finger to the tip of your chin to lift you just enough. And she goes, Zindred, everything that you believe and you speak, these become doctrines. I do not deter you, my child. Again, my inspiration is bled through you. As you do these things, you have already affected hundreds of the people around you. You just need to open your beautiful eyes to know who you've touched. And with that, she just explodes into feathers, and ravens scatter all around you as feathers drop. And as you kind of hold in your hand in blessing, one black feather will remain in your left hand.
Well, she comes back to herself. Zindred just kind of sits there for a moment with her eyes closed. I'm sure tears actually streaming down her physical cheeks as well. And finally relaxes her grip on the sword hilt and tucks the feather in her pocket and just whispers, Gods be damned.
As you grab the thing and put it into your pocket, you will know that you're just, it doesn't cost attunement, but you kind of sort of know you're attuned to this thing. It will give you one auto success, more or less a natural 20 on a persuasion check. Once it's used,
okay.
It's gone. So it's a one-time use only. High Priestess goes, Lady Zindred, are you well?
I suspect she just had a religious experience, High Priest.
What do you mean a religious experience?
Do you not commune with your gods in such a way?
Oh God, if you touched your goddess?
Or she touched me.
I am honored to be in the presence of one that can do so. No, we pray, we make sacrifices, we make offerings, we hope that there will be signs. That is what we normally usually see.
Well, should you find a way to be able to continue to communicate with me, or if you'd like to accompany me, you could then return to your people later after you've learned her ways. But I would be happy to teach you of the Raven Queen.
Give me an persuasion check at advantage. Oh,
31?
Shit. Yeah,
or
he
29,
goes.
your choice.
Yeah, he goes. If she is that in tune with those that follow her, I am. If something's wrong with Apollo, I don't. I would definitely like to see you if you do return, please. But I think I need to think. I'm not sure. And he just kind of gets up, and Commander Joe's just like, I've never seen him act like that before. You really did touch your goddess?
Indeed. And I am afraid, though your hospitality has been fantastic, that my goddess has swayed my opinion of the right path for me.
Oh. Enlighten us, I guess?
I believe that instead of trying to treat with Zeus, which everyone has told me would be a fool's errand, that my goddess is right. I would best serve her and the people of this world by spreading her name, spreading her faith, and bringing more into the gray light of a goddess who will take a direct action in their lives, who does actually care about them, instead of throwing my life away speaking to Zeus, who barely even acknowledges that the humans beneath them exist.
I see. I mean, it was a wild plan anyways. I've never heard anyone really meeting Zeus before, even at that great temple. So, I don't really think this is really that far off.
Well, for one who has never been able to speak to their gods, I can imagine how alien this must seem. For me, I never specifically even thought of it that way, because since I have found her, she is almost always with me. Andriousis, my friend, I'm afraid I've drug you on a fool's errand. These were not from silk. They were actually from the Raven Queen, my mother. And so, if you would like any of them, knowing that they're not from her, either of them you may. If not, I shall keep them.
Andriousis will look at the items on the table and will kind of take his, the knife that is with his cutlery and kind of toy with the arrowhead.
I can tell you truthfully from the bottom of my soul that no gift she's ever given me has come with the kind of strings attached to it that you fear. My faith is all she's ever asked of me.
Then here's what I will say, Zindred. And if you will forgive what may just be the ravings of an old skeptic. And Andriousis with his knife will fold the corners of the satchel back over the arrow point and the dart. Keep them safe. And when we meet again, when the Raven Queen has shown herself to be all the things that you tell me she is, then I will take them. But hold them safe for me.
Indeed, my friend. I take it you do not wish to accompany me to see the City of the Night?
He'll wrap his fingers on the table.
With your passive perception, and this is only that you only pick up, Zindred does not.
Yeah.
You see the old man looking at you outside the tavern window.
The same guy that Loki. What does he seem to be doing? Just kind of like observing and watching?
Same thing that you felt when he was sitting at the table. But again, he only gets you.
Before I answer that question, Zindred, I believe that our friend is back.
She follows his gaze.
You don't see him. He definitely ducked away at the time.
I do not see him. He apparently doesn't want to talk to me.
Let us travel together, and until I am called to another location that may need me, let us assume that I will see your city. I am not sure that I would do as well in yours as you have done in this city, but I will try.
I understand, but I also understand that if, and she glances back towards the window where she didn't see him, you have another calling.
I may be getting called someplace else. I'm not sure what Loki wants. Again, that he was a... There's a phrase that we used on Alanis to describe children when the adults would be talking and would be planning. And he'll say the elven phrase, and basically it boils down to pain in the ass, right? It sounds way more poetic. It's like, that is always what I assumed Loki to be, more than anything else, is that he was a meddlesome child at the table of the adults. Perhaps he... I do not pretend to understand his desire for me, whether it comes from the Raven Queen or what.
Still, the calling of a deity is no small thing. I hope it is fortuitous as opposed to not.
He'll hold the medallion that he wears around his neck and says, I am familiar with the call of the deities, of my deity.
Oh, indeed. I did not mean by any means
No.
change faith. I simply meant
Of course. But his interest in me is curious.
Indeed. She turns to 8th Commander Wildstorm. Jolasay, if I could ask one more favor of you.
Yes.
Are there people in your city that I might prey upon or pay? I do have some considerable coinage if necessary to aid me with magical transportation to return to my homeland, or at least get closer to a city or on the surface nearby.
We have high mages. I will get you there.
Well, then, if you would give our apologies to the High Priest of Zeus.
I will do that as well.
I would love to continue to take you up on your hospitality until I make arrangements to leave the city.
I was going to say, could we leave on the morrow so that I may see what I'm being called for?
Absolutely.
Perhaps we will share more stories around the hearth this evening.
Okay. So you go outside. You see the old man, or Loki, across the street, more or less, up against a building. He's leaning.
I will go over to him.
He's flipping a coin in the air, casually.
As Andriousis approaches, he has a wry smile and say, do you understand what I mean now when I say that when the gods are coy, misunderstandings are rife?
I do. That is why I also found the charm in the conversation. And I see you're not so needed here anymore.
I mean, I have been called back from the Silver Isles. I would say that I'm probably not needed most places.
Oh. Andriousis is needed in some places.
I had a sneaking suspicion you would say.
I thought this wasn't going to go the amorous route.
There's like a Chuck Tingle novel in here.
Well,
somewhere.
now he's got open desires.
Right.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
I love that you do. Events are still happening around. There is one very curious effect that I've just seen transpire. And I think an elven mind of your caliber may be seriously needed for this.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
Just remember that I am not as bad as they say in the stories.
I'll say the same word that I used to describe him at the table. The basically the loud child at the at the table of the adults is the exact translation.
You know, I came up with that one when I impersonated elves. I figured most people wouldn't take me as a threat when they see me more as a child than an adult.
Oh, I assure you, I see you as a threat. But tell me the situation as you see it.
You have come across many realms. You know the old, and you're now learning the new. But you now have seen the collision of many of them coming together. An old Greystoke friend has done an old Greystoke thing. And caused a...
Andriousis will laugh out loud at that.
It's caused a bit of a spin in this universe that we call our new home.
Which old Greystoke friend and which Greystoke thing have they done?
Well, your old Greystoke friend is with because of a new Greystoke he made. Back in the world of a war with that lich. That was an old thing.
I see. So, are you saying that this new Greystoke and the party that he is with needs some perspective on the old?
They need someone with quite your wisdom.
George just looks at his character sheets. That's my wisdom. That's.
I would totally, and again, I hate to keep insulting you like this. I would definitely prefer the lady Zindred, but the Raven Queen said she had to do other things in a much more important city, so you're what I'm left with, buddy.
Yeah. Your boss is pulling the heavy weapons, so you're dealing with what you're stuck with. I got you.
Hey, we can all sit at the child's table at the big supper, right?
When we were doing the first tour, there was like a big gigantic fountain up on the first level, right?
Yes.
Okay. Here's what I will offer you then. Here's what I will do for you. Give me the night to sleep on it. And if I will go with you, I will meet you at the such and such fountain at high noon tomorrow.
Go to the fountain. If you wish to go, throw this in it. And he flips you the coin.
He instinctively catches it before realizing what he's just done. Okay. But that's fine. All right.
And in the blink of an eye, it took you to kind of just, as you kind of like instinctively caught it, then you kind of look down and go, shit, I did touch it. And kind of look up, he's gone.
Yeah. It's like, crap, I touched it. God damn. Stupid dark gifts. Oh. So, all right. Eventually, Andriousis will catch back up with Zindred, either while they're, at some point. And Andriousis will say, well, apparently he had more than one.
Well, perhaps it'll be good luck for both of us.
Yeah. I would love to take you up on the invitation to visit your city. I have been given an offer to help another one of our parties. We have split to the winds, and as Loki says, another one of the arms of our party can use my assistance. So, though in his way he was coy and surreptitious about who exactly it was. So,
of course. Did you expect anything less?
No. Refresh my memory. So, who went where?
HK and...
Sorry, I was actually asking Zindred.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. From the time I watched Hermes die, my mind has been very, very fixated, and I did not pay enough attention to know exactly where everyone else went.
Right out goes my lady.
She blushes a little bit.
HK and Firebrand and the Earthheart went to Greenwood. Jew went with the Barbarian to Fair. Aleski went on his own. Cascade, Desire, and that blue fellow, Dragonborn, Sai, I think, went to the Garden of Gaia area, and then our boy Vemoth and our rest of the Raven, Laura, went to our home.
Well, I suspect then that I will be sent to be with HK, because Greystoke's gonna Greystoke.
Well, I'm sure that he could use your assistance, and I know that you're not that familiar with the City of Night, and I'm afraid I'd be bringing you in a time of trouble, so perhaps after this war.
Indeed. A thought has occurred to me in the interactions that I've had with him. Them? Him? What is he, first of all?
A god. So him, he, him, her, them is fine.
No, HK.
Oh, HK?
Yeah. And again, this is Andriousis asking Zindred. Andriousis is not familiar with the Warforged. He has never seen a Warforged before. HK was the first one he'd ever seen.
Oh, okay. Well, then she explains, he's a Warforged. He's a sentient mechanical being. They started out as kind of automaton soldiers, but somewhere along the way, some of them, HK being the most expansively broadened that I've ever met, became more.
Rydell goes, I think his wife took up the mantle of the silk.
Indeed she did.
That is how his child were born?
Zindred, when you rest, do you dream?
Some. I think of it more as... Yeah, dream is the closest, is the best description.
Yeah. For me and my kind, the reverie is a very real thing. And it is a very important part of who we are and how we function. I mean no disrespect. I'm assuming that you also dream in this way, but for me and my kind, there was always a sense that when we would enter the reverie, that was when we were able to commune most with Danu, and that messages and thoughts and glimpses of the future would be sent back and forth. When I first joined your party, I'd had such a vision, and I have not been able to shake it since that first day. I think there will be a time when I will stand across from HK and not as friends. I don't know how that winds up.
She puts her hand on your shoulder and says, I understand, and it's a heavy burden. As I've watched all of my companions change carrying the Sin Stones and being subjected to the influences that they have throughout this quest since I met them. I've had to come to realize and accept that in the end, if any of them are warped or changed enough, I may have to stand across the field from them. Any of them. And it has haunted me since the day I realized it. I do not envy you this burden.
That's the funny thing, is that it is not a burden. He would not be the first of his family that I have stood across and put an arrow between their eyes. I will do that to defend the realm.
I understand. I did travel with him for significantly longer than you and consider him a dear friend, so for me, it would be with heavy heart. But if I must, I will.
There are things that we must do, and I fear that that will be one. Just understand how much I have valued the friendship that you and I have built, and that I recognize that he is a dear friend of yours. And do not judge me harshly when I do.
Thank you. And honestly, the friendship that we've grown, particularly since given the way that we met, means a lot to me as well. But I will do my best to hold no ill will. When all of this is over, honestly, I feel responsible for each of them, because in leading them on, but not taking a stone myself, I orchestrated their downfall to some degree, and so I see it as my responsibility. And hopefully, when this is over, perhaps your vision was wrong. It could happen. HK will still stand on the side of the light. Well, or at least the gray light.
Perhaps.
But if not, and it's your hand instead of mine, then I'll thank you.
I will hold it for as long as I can.
Okay. You guys had to mourn. I don't know if there's anything particular that you two want to do now. I mean, you guys had your conversation. I think your major
bonding with the family, because we've been so well with them, and making sure that they know that I meant it if they ever are able to, though she knows it's almost impossible. Make it to the City of Night. They could call upon House Cinevilia, etc. And they seemed like good people, and we had like good times going on in their households. So.
And I would take that a step further and say that Andriousis would insist on paying for the feast that they want to have on our last night in their company, right? So we would he would insist on supplying the food and the wine, right? I can see another night of stories and of everything like that. He would be happy to share other stories of Alanis and the realm that he knew. If asked, he would. There are any number of things that he could tell. The bravery of his own unit, the Windfires, which he would sort of chuckle to himself a little bit when he called them the Windfires, because there is a family in town that's the Windfire, isn't it?
Could be.
I thought that was. I thought I remembered that from last time.
You could be right. I gotta check my thing. Okay, so you guys are telling stories. That'll be awesome. I do want to check one more thing as we tell stories.
Zindred would stay up late too, telling stories and hanging out. And Andriousis would probably note that since this decision to change her course, she seems a lot more light and free, and her smile comes more easily.
Okay, as you guys are having conversations, High Priest Windheart was there as well. Brevin Windheart of Hermes. He comes a thing. Glenn, give me an insight with Zindred again, and I'm gonna give you advantage as well, even though you probably don't need it. But
My insight is only the +7. It's not that
56.
I love how you keep saying it's only +7 for everybody else is dealing
18.
with. In your
I have a +16 for persuasion.
as Z is talking, High Priest Z is talking as well. You kind of talk with Bremet, and in the conversation you're going, he just kind of like tells Bremet the story of how he just saw what you did, and he's really having a feeling that this Raven Queen having that amount of care to touch beings of important that you could make such a difference, and the fact that we're bonding, see, having a dark elf meeting a surface elves and have that type of thing, he feels very strong about that in himself. He's like, I don't think I can follow the sun god anymore. I really think I should follow this Raven Queen. I think you should be part of this new movement going forward. As he says that, in your mind you remember the feather that you probably were going to use in another meeting. Could be a big change with Bremet right now.
And Bremet is the High Priest of Hermes?
Yes.
Okay. Then Zindred will, recognizing the opportunity that she may also get with the Priest of Apollo for a fallen god, but same effect, she's now committed to trying to spread the Raven Queen's flock, takes the feather out of her pouch and offers it to him and says, well, this is a token that she gave to me directly.
And he goes, a holy artifact.
And if you truly want to follow the Raven Queen, she holds it out to him.
Give me another persuasion check at advantage.
Oh shit, I did disadvantage by accident, but I'll just use the bigger one. The bigger one was a nat 20.
Jesus.
No, it's not.
Not 20?
That's an 18. It looked like a B when it was pulsing. For 34 total.
Wow, yeah. He just... Lady Zindred, I am honored. For the times that I have been, to see someone so beloved by her goddess, this will mean quite a bit to us. And I know if she does exist, she will help us heal the people in this city. We will be the words that you have brought to us, Zindred. We will make it so we are not prejudiced. We will not be blind. We will always remember the words of the Raven. And he accepts the Raven, the wing.
And she embraces him and welcomes him into the gray light of the Raven Queen.
Cool. Andriousis, as you guys are chatting away as well,
she touches her sword hilt too and sends to the Raven Queen, not expecting a reply.
but you feel warm. Jacilia goes, Andriousis, I know you have talked about your old world and the suffering and your length. It breaks my heart to know that you're someone who has been searching to find stability again. I will tell you now, me and my wife, Marissa, we welcome you into this house. You may always represent the Wildstorm house. She turns to her wife, so Marissa, just smiling at you, kind of holds out her hand to take your hand, and they put the signet ring of the 8th house in your hand. You will have now nobility. You will have power and word. This is an 8th house of St. Augustine. It is. We are honored to have you a part of us.
He's actually speechless. He takes the signet ring, and he slips it over his finger, and he just says that he will wear it with pride, and will do my best to bring your house honor, our house honor. He'll correct himself immediately. Yes.
Okay. As you do that, their first daughter, Wildy, who's pretty young and like that, she just goes, "Does that make him grandfather, Mother?" And they both smile and goes, "I don't know, does it?"
Congratulations, my friend. And if this is now your city, then I will definitely be back to visit St. Augustine.
And they're all happy. Say, "Yes, please. We must build relations between the two of our homes."
Well, it sounds as though there may be a budding temple to the Raven Queen here within St. Augustine, so perhaps that will help unite us even further.
Bremen looks to Z. "One?" He goes, "Ha! Try two, my lady. 2 temples to the Raven Queen."
And she laughs.
All right. You guys will finish off the drink.
So yeah. Before we end that, so
okay.
So after they give me the signet ring, I will say I will happily come back to run and administer whatever I can do for this house. And there is a thing that I apparently must do before I do that.
Of course.
I will have to leave on the morrow, and I will return as soon as I can.
You are a great champion to this realm, Andriousis. Where you need to be is where you need to be. I just want to let you know that our name, our house, is somewhere you can lay your head always.
I can't express how much I appreciate this.
We know.
All right, now you can go.
Okay, they will, later on in the morning, just so they will get you a mage, and you will be able to teleport to your home. They'll get you outside. You're going to have to kind of sneak in, because it's kind of, they don't have the actual wars to sneak into your mother's place. But
I didn't figure that they would be able to get me all the way there. I thought I'd be hiking the end of it. Yes.
Yeah, you'll be hiking near the end. And, Lord Andriousis, do you actually throw the coin in the well?
Throw the coin in the well.
All right.
Or the fountain. Not the well.
The fountain, yeah. And then you will find yourself in Greenwood. And folks, that will indeed end the chapter of Mercy of the Gods. It may not have been the gods that we thought where this was heading the first time we got together, but it is not. But it was a different story told, but a wonderful story, and yet now I'm happy our 2 heroes have found yet a continued path.
And Zindred got to plead her case to a god, and that was close to what she would have said to Zeus, just with a totally different tone.
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff. Beautiful stuff. But that will be that for this chapter. But you will now find these 2 players, I hope. We're going to try to get the time situated into the others. So until you see the next chapters in our line of stories. So continue to please follow along. And thank you 2 very much. This was definitely a hallmark in my DMing.
This was really special. Thank you.
It was a really good story to tell, even though it did not turn out at all as I expected. I loved every second of it.
Awesome. Yeah. All right.
And thank you, Josh, because you were a wonderful scene partner.
You too, Glenn. Thank you very much.
Nice.
This worked out well.
Cool. All right. Thank you very much. Slay you all.
Later.